Hello, this is Sportmentary with my buddy the Comish from Winnipeg with another Big Blue recap. We had actually, for many of our Big Blue recaps, have changed the entry to the beginning of it to 24 hours later, giving us some time to kind of calm down and think things through. And we were all ready to go, and Sportmentary was all trying to calm down. And then I got the call from the commish about LaPolice and the firing of LaPolice. And I'm not calm now. I am worked up. I have been a big proponent, probably a few weeks back, of LaPolice and the Mac getting fired. But the Bombers in the last few weeks have made some improvements. They've been a different team. Their defense has been on fire, and they got a kid at quarterback who's been pretty good too. I don't think this is the time to fire him. I agree with what Commish said last week or 2 weeks ago. This is not the time to fire him. And while I try and gather my thoughts, I want to see what he has to say about this.
Well, I think the intro says it all. And that's my car coming to a crashing halt, just like this season. I think Joe Mack has thrown the season away, and I always want to see how the team's going to react. So I guess we have to hold our judgment until they play Saskatchewan. But my feeling is if they lose both games to Saskatchewan, Joe Mack has to go. He has to take the fall. He must have been asked to sacrifice LaPolice. It must have been an ultimatum from the board. I can't see why they would do this after, like you said, after the last two games, they played pretty well. They were coming around. What do you expect them to do against BC? They couldn't have done much better against the best team in the league. They took them basically down to the last second, and yeah, had they executed a few plays better during the game or even in the last couple drives, we'd all be talking about a victory. But we're not, and the board, whoever called for this firing, which it seems to be with Mac, they overreacted and jumped the gun.
You know, the Bombers started off 0-4. They went 2-4. Yesterday's a wash for me. Seriously, they lost in the record books, but I'm giving them that third victory. I'm saying they played so well yesterday. 3 out of the 4 games at home were pretty damn good games. And I tell you, I've been saying for the last few weeks, the season's over. After last night's game, I actually had this little bit of hope. You and I talked about it earlier in the afternoon before the events went down. And I was saying to you, 7-3, right? Bombers go 7-3, they probably make the playoffs, right?
Yep.
And that's realistic. That's realistic to expect that. And then we have this go down. And the way I look at it, I don't know if it's bored, schmored, whatever you want to call it. But what I see happening here is I see a guy in Mac, something you said a few weeks ago, and I poo-pooed it. Mac had this new plan for young players and getting rid of veterans. And you were never a proponent of that from week one.
I wasn't, and I actually called it. I said that if the Bombers get off to a slow start this year, he's going to be gone. You could see the writing on the wall. It's almost as if, though, Joe Mack set him up for this fall.
He set him up, but things were coming back. There was a glimmer of hope it could have worked out. And I think Joe Mack had his mind up a few weeks ago to fire LaPolice. I really believe that. And I think having a team go 2-6 gives him an excuse and a way out. The problem with it is, even if fans 3 or 4 weeks ago were saying Mac should be fired, if you look at the poll on the WinnipegFreePress.com, you see that about 80% of the people are not happy with this firing. All right, so let's take the team away from this. Let's say now they don't have a shot at winning. Who knows how they rebound? But let's say now their season's done. You have a fan base who even with the loss yesterday, they were fired up because they believed in this team. They believed this team had something. Something was happening. There was a fire brewing with this team. And what you've done now is you've just sucker punched the fans. All right, this is a terrible move. This goes against everything that football is meant to be. I don't know, man. I don't know. I am so mad. I don't know what to do right now.
You know what this is? It's a gong show. Joe Mack has turned this into a gong show. And you know what? I got to go back to the fact that LaPolice was not perfect. He's not the greatest coach in Bombers history.
No.
But basically what they've done here is it looks like they've given up on the season because of that loss. Is Tim Burke really going to turn a team around in a short period of time? It's proven that teams that fire football teams, I'm not talking about any other sport, but football teams that fire coaches midway through a season never end up making the playoffs. It doesn't have the desired effect.
I'll go one step further. All right? How many seasons does an interim coach last?
You never know. I agree. I think that's what I'm saying. He's not going to last. He's done after this year.
Because now the fans, if he doesn't win, he's got most of this season, right? But logic tells you that most of this season's a wash. Then he'll be given a chance next season. So if he doesn't turn around the season for 2013, he's done. All right? And the Bombers are back then again to looking for a new coach. So this leads me to believe. Right. This leads me to believe that Mac or the board or whoever is thinking past this guy, and they're already going to be starting their search for the real head coach.
Well, that's what I think too. I think Mac has, and the board, whoever, they have some names in mind, and for whatever reason, they didn't want LaPolice to finish out the year. And part of it, I'm hearing, and this is from watching TSN and reading some other sources here. One of the problems might be that there was a battle over who should start next game, whether it should be Buck or Elliott. And LaPolice didn't want to start Buck; he wanted to go with Elliott, and that could have partially caused this rift between him and Mac. Mac wants Buck Pierce to start. And I don't think Lapo was going to cave into that.
You and I had that same conversation this afternoon when we were talking.
Yeah.
And I said to you, I'm with LaPolice on that one. And it's just for consistency's sake, okay? You got a kid who's played two pretty good games. The guy seems to be getting it more and more as the quarters are going. He seems to have a command of the offense. He seems to have a good rapport, and he seems to be a leader out there.
Well, let's look at last night. We had 256 yards passing to BC's 220. Time of possession.
Against a great defense, right?
Yeah, against a very good defense. A defense that hadn't given up a touchdown in over 4 or 6 quarters.
Yeah.
You know what? And Elliott, he had one turnover, which could hardly be blamed on him. It was a great play by the defensive back. Mr. Lulay, the MOP from last year, was throwing up ducks all night. What do we have? 3 interceptions, and I think 2 others were taken off the board by penalties. So that's another thing they're going to say. Well, LaPolice didn't have control of the team. They lacked discipline. They were getting penalties. Well, you know what? Tim Burke is in charge of that defense as much as LaPolice is. Where's his control over the players?
Well, he just got a promotion because of it.
Well,
so they obviously didn't seem to care about the control of the defense, and we're going to keep on focusing tonight on the firing. But I want to say, I'm not saying the loss is because of the refs. Neither is the win by BC. The calls on both sides of the field for both teams sucked. I asked you this: I asked you this afternoon. Did they loan the replacement officials from the NFL? And then we were talking. I said, I doubt it. Why? Because in the few reviews that we had last night, it only took our CFL crew 30 seconds to get the job done, and we'd be waiting 3 commercial breaks if it was the NFL officials under the booth, the regular officials. So we know they weren't replacements, but they sure looked like them. Okay.
I have a theory on the NFL, anyways, and those are just added commercial breaks. The league is told, the refs are told to take their time so they can get in some more commercials. Let's not be naive about the NFL. They're about making money, and
well, I guess in our league we just put the commercials on the field.
Yeah. Although the field, I was watching for that last night. The field didn't look as littered with advertising. Although there was that big flashing board in the end zone that had something about
what happens is you get so used to it you don't notice it. And I'm not kidding. Like, I kid about the ads, but I was watching the game the previous night, and it was the same thing. It was almost they could be playing on our home field. Almost the same ads, It's just littered. So I'm like, okay, Premier League has ads on shirts. We have ads on the field, and the NFL has just ads.
Ads after every play. Oh, okay, that kick was returned 10 yards. Now we're going to go for a commercial break.
Right. So I guess it's just how you take the ads, and I guess in our case I'll take the ads on the field.
Yeah, but getting back to last night.
Oh, wait, I just want to say one thing before we get back.
Oh yeah.
I believe that the new stadium is just about complete. Do you have any idea on that?
I did read earlier that they're not going to call it complete until the field's actually put in, so it could be October.
But they're getting close.
They're getting close, but they're still not going to play any games there this year.
No, they can't play any games this year.
And that goes back again to what LaPolice was given a raw deal this year. He started 4 games on the road, 1 against the defending champs. He has a rookie team, the youngest team in the CFL. So they have to deal with their first 4 games on the road. I mean, no, it's not a wonder they're going to lack discipline. They're young, they're fired up, maybe they don't respect him as much as they should, but he can only coach the players he was given. And it's unfortunate that they got off to such a slow start, especially after last year, even though the writing was on the wall that he they went 1-7 in the last 8 games last year.
Okay.
Why re-sign him? Why re-sign him and go through the dance and give him an extension? And now
I gotta stop you right there. Can I ask you what happened in the postseason last year with the Bombers?
Can you ask me?
Yeah, what did they do? Just give me a little recap what they did in the postseason.
They won 1 game.
Okay.
On a frozen field that Hamilton wasn't prepared to play on.
But what happened to the team?
I don't know if I know you would.
No, I'm saying that they made it to the Grey Cup, did they not?
Yeah, I do think they fluked it off. My point is this: if they would have fired LaPolice,
they made it to the Grey Cup.
No, but they could have fired him at the end of last season. There were problems with the team last year. They had a terrible last half of the season. Their offense was awful, and they looked terrible in the Grey Cup. There was no reason to really say, you know what, you're not doing the job, let's fire you. But my point is, they're starting from scratch now in the middle of the season.
What concern, the whole firing concerns me, but that wouldn't concern me if I truly believed that this new guy is the guy that they want to lead the team, and that it would be a fair audition for him, so to speak. But in my heart of hearts, I don't believe that this is the guy for the team. So you're right. Because they're going to start over again. If this was the guy and they're giving him a fair shot, and the players believed in their hearts this guy was getting a fair shot, then we could see if they bond with their new coach. But people, I'm not on the field, and I'm guessing that the players on the field have even a better sense than what we have, and they probably think this is all a bunch of hooey. And they're playing for a guy that isn't going to be there next year. Though that's my point. If they had a plan and said, this is the guy we want, if truly this is a guy they want, good. Okay, they got a plan. But I don't believe that's what it is. So what they're doing is wasting games while they search for the new guy.
I don't think there's a search. I think they know who they want.
But
he's not available right now. I think that's what it is.
This is wasted time. Then you let LaPolice finish the season and see where the team gets you.
I agree.
Okay? This is just a waste of everybody's time. But more importantly than that, this is a waste of the fans' time. It's a waste of the fans' money. And it is a travesty. Okay? For the paying fan. You've taken their money and you're throwing it away. These are hardworking people in a blue-collar city, and you're spitting in their face by doing this.
I usually like to say that you're right and I'm wrong, but I have to agree with you that this is a colossal failure, waste of time. They've thrown in the towel on the season.
I'm angry, if you can't tell. I'm besides myself. All week we've been talking about an issue, and I mean, when I say we, I mean collective Big Blue Nation has been talking about Watergate, to me, which is a non-issue. Every venue in the world tells you don't bring outside stuff. You want to drink, pay for it, or drink tap water. You want food, eat at home. Don't come, or buy the food at our stadium. And that was a huge issue. There was a big, huge issue at the state, with the fans. I tell you what, this is a big issue. Because these are season ticket holders who have paid money. These are potential future patrons who you would hope would come and support the team. And these are patrons that have already paid money for the first bunch of home games. And to me, they've made a mockery of everything. I really believe that.
In light of the fact that they seem to be turning things around, and they gave the Lions a run for their money. But I guess I don't know. The stats don't lie.
When I was talking to you this afternoon, I said of all the games the Bombers have played this year, this is the game I'm most proud of the squad for coming out. All right. This last game was the game I'm most proud of them, and gave me the most confidence that they could do something. And the fans are the number one. That are being jobbed here, but the effort the players put on the field last night. This is a fact that they've been jobbed. Because
the problem is that or what we'll never know, maybe we'll get some insight into, is that they're saying that LaPolice didn't inspire these players. They weren't playing for him. So what made them play last night? That's what I want. That's why we need one game. We need to see where they're at based on their next game. Because they're heading into Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's struggling. Saskatchewan just lost to Calgary, who was in no great shape either, heading into that game. And I mean, I know you're kind of like a loose cannon here. You wanna punch something. You're mad. You're angry. I got to calm you down here.
Well,
the writing was on the wall for LaPolice.
This whole segment was supposed to be wait 24 hours, kind of calm down. This is your way. It was your suggestion. I actually love it. 24 hours later. So I don't have a coronary during these things. I did my best, dude. I seriously did my best. It's heartbreaking last night. I was almost in tears. And I said, take a deep breath. Listen to the commish. Take 24 hours. Let it sink in before we do one of these things again. Seriously, I wish we would have done this, called it 18 hours later. Those extra few hours are a killer, dude.
I don't think anybody could anticipate that they would drop the hammer on LaPolice today. But they did. And I think we just have to move on
and give
them a week. If they come up flat next week, then I definitely think this was a big mistake. If they don't, maybe he was right about firing him, but I doubt it.
You know what I'm starting? Let's start our own campaign here at Sportmentary. Let's start a campaign. Fire Mac. All right? Are you in?
I'm not a proponent of firing anybody. I think you got to stick with your game plan. If he has a plan, he should be sticking with it. And
Well, you know where he can stick it.
I'm just disappointed that they didn't do this at the beginning of the year. There were issues at the beginning of the year. They should have just done it before then. Now it seems like a wasted season.
Well, what they've told the fans is that we don't expect to win, and that's why we had to fire the guy.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, he inherited a mess from Mike Kelly. So when they went 4-14 his first year, where they failed to score or win on the road, and then last year they were just barely 500. So
Let me ask you this: how many quarterbacks have the Bombers lost this year?
how many have they lost?
Yeah, no, really, this is a serious question.
Well, they lost Buck Pierce, but that was to be expected.
No, but how many more? Like, how many quarterback injuries were there?
Nobody else this year.
So one major quarterback issue. I'm wrong. How many quarterbacks have started games?
No, 3 different quarterbacks at this point.
Okay, maybe I should state that a little better. How many teams in any sport or any football team could win under these circumstances? With so many people at the helm of the football. How many?
Unless you got Tim Tebow coming in, not many.
Well, even with that, okay. But my point of the matter is they still found a way in the last little bit to kind of give fans some hope, or at least some excitement, some hope that they could win a game, right? So my point is, realistically, you know, I've been unhappy for most of the season, right? I've been unhappy, but realistically, there's a lot that was working against the team for them to win. So I've been pretty excited the last couple of weeks because it's like, oh, I didn't expect this, and look, they can win or they can get better. Anyway, that's my last little piece. I'll give you the last word tonight, and then let's wrap it up because seriously, I gotta go and get an ice pack for my head.
Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up with this. I'm not happy with the firing. I'm not happy with the timing of it. I do want to see how they perform next week before totally jumping on your fire Mac bandwagon. And I want to wish Paul LaPolice all the best because I think he's a class act who maybe had a little too much on his plate. He inherited an ugly mess, and he came in with a GM that I think wasn't working with him, but kind of against him. And Mac has done nothing to inspire me in terms of his ability to field a team that's lacking in Canadian talent. That's what we need. We need Canadians. He didn't replace the Canadians that were cut this year. He's good at finding an American talent, but you know what? They're easier to find than Canadians. So I feel bad for LaPolice. I think he should have walked the plank last year anyways. The writing was on the wall. But let's hold off till next week, where I do predict that Saskatchewan's going to blow out the Bombers. I know I predicted BC would blow out the Bombers this week. Great effort, though, by them. But next week in Saskatchewan, it's going to be 38-2.
Pretty close, 35-10.
That's your prediction?
Saskatchewan, yeah. I don't see much hope. I really don't.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. I'm at a loss for 30. You say 38-2. I say 35-10. That's pretty much the same score. It doesn't look good. That's our arch rivals. It's about time to wave the white flag for next game. And with that said, I'll see you around 24 hours later, after the next Blue Bomber game.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, and we'll see you next week, dude.
Let's hope we're not hurting as bad next week.
All right. Good night, everybody.